ripping loud until there's no more left in me. Dallas Cowboys to the death for me. Dallas Cowboys to the death for me. I'ma keep ripping loud until there's nothing left in me. Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys to the death for me. DC, that B4L, reppin' that star, I do it so well. It's Puma on the toes, but it's stars on the clothes. I'm Starboy, fresh at the DF Dub. Yeah, I'm a hard hitter. Don't stare to fit, it'll ego hit you. What is you saying, man? Look at the swag. Please do forgive the brag. I'ma pull up later in the Cowboy Jag. Don't you slip on the drip, I'm flossing the sauce. Go so hard for the star. Yeah, that be win, lose, or draw. If you take a L, get the F off my block. Cowboys win. Watch yours, pull up the shots. Really can't help it, got a star status. Even got it tatted on my arm. Yes, we be 5 green strong. Left a little room cause it's quest for the 6. Starboy really reppin' this shit. Dallas Cowboys to the death for me. Dallas Cowboys to the death for me. I'ma keep ripping loud until there's no more left in me. Dallas Cowboys to the death for me. Dallas Cowboys to the death for me. I'ma keep ripping loud until there's nothing left in me. Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys to the death for me.
Yeah, tell me who the #1 fan. Yeah, Mr. Westside, I'm the man. Dallas Cowboys from my head to the toes. They better recognize who the fuck I am. Damn, haters run their mouth like a bitch when they team ain't shit and my team stay lit. Yeah, I'm about to rep this shit till the day I die in an all blue casket. If you wanna get with a club with love, tell Star Status Westside sent ya. Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame. Emmett Smith is our main. Game time, prime time, all the time. Your team ain't never on TV like mine. That's because we different. We America's team and we run this. Like Zeke runs circles, running defense. Jerry Jones, that's nonsense. Let the coaches coach. And I'll have a smoke. And I know y'all wanna toast to that.
Dallas Cowboys to the death for me. Dallas Cowboys to the death for me. I'ma keep ripping loud until there's no more left in me. Dallas Cowboys to the death for me. Dallas Cowboys to the death for me. I'ma keep ripping loud until there's nothing left in me. Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys to the death for me. DC, that B4L. DC, that B4L. Reppin' that star, I do it so well. DC, that B4L. DC, that B4L. Reppin' that star, I do it so well.
What's up with you guys? It is your boy West Coast, and we live in the building, man. We are live in the building. It is Monday night. This is the final Monday night of the 2021 season without any type of football, man. And I told you guys this is national, just like they got Shark Week. I told y'all, man, this is National Run the Damn Ball Week, man. Now, I tell y'all, we got kids to watch the show, so we spell it D-A-M on purpose. You feel me? But I got a special guest tonight, man. I got, man, the OG of Run the Damn Ball, Mr. Stacy Elliott, man. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great and honored to be on your show this evening.
AKA the ambassador, man. The ambassador means this is the person. Whenever you're in a foreign country and you have an issue, I don't know Spanish. I know hablo español. That's it. But if I got in trouble in a Latin country, you know what I would do? I would go to the ambassador, and the ambassador, he would speak on my behalf, and he would make sure that I got my narrow tail home. You feel me? And that's what the ambassador is. Go ahead to the left a little bit. That's exactly what the ambassador does. He is that leeway between the fans and this great organization. So I wanted to bring him on here tonight so we could have a very conversation about Mr. Ezekiel Elliott, not even just about Ezekiel Elliott, the running back, but Ezekiel Elliott, the man, because I'm going to tell you guys this right here. Ezekiel Elliott, the man, is going to dictate Ezekiel Elliott, the running back. So if you're going to talk about the man, you should want to know who had a help in building this man, and that is Mr. Stacy Elliott. So we got him in the building. But, hey, man, you guys know we got bills over here, man. So I got to shout out to some folks that help keep these bills and keep these lights on, man. So shout out my boy Jacob Hurd real quick. Appreciate you, my guy. Hit that star button. Shout out to my boy Jimmy Page. My boy Thad, I appreciate you. Jermaine, I see you. Rich Evans, I see you all out there. Joe Trantrina, what's up with you, Joe? I watching out the way out there in Italy. I hope you got some pants on this time, Joe. Joe, hey, I told you, man, we got guests over. All right? What's up with you, Dan Thomas? What's up with you, Jody? And what's up with you, Medina? I see everybody that's in the comment box. Hey, real quick before we get into this show, you guys already know, independent content creators. What does that mean? That means I am making this content independently. You guys know we have 3 rules whenever you watch an independent content creator. Got to get that word out of my mouth, right? There's 3 things you're supposed to do, and they all start with an S. You can hit that share button. How do you hit that share button? Come on, fam. You already know how to hit the share button. Stop playing. You know what I'm saying? How do you hit that support button? On Facebook, you hit that star button. On YouTube, you hit that super chat button, man. But other than that, last thing you can do, if you don't do anything, you know what you do? You're stealing the content. Don't steal from the church now. Come on now. We needy around here. Make sure you guys hit that share button, and make sure you guys hit that star button. Hey, let's get right into it. Why? Because time is of the essence, man, and we play Tampa Bay on Thursday. So let's get to it, and let's get right into this conversation. So, Mr. Elliott, man, right off the bat, I want to know, like, just, seeing Ezekiel Elliott grow and mature as a man and as a football player, what was that moment, or was it a moment, or was it a time in his life where you knew that, you know what, this young man, because, we all think our sons is the man, you know what I'm saying? But your son been the man for a long time, if I remember, since 7th grade, you know what I'm saying? So I want to know, what was that moment where you as a father was like, you know what, my son is a little bit different than these other kids. And do me one favor for me, step to the right a little bit, and then kind of sit down just a little bit. I just got your top of your forehead. There you go, and there you go now. Boom, right there, you perfect. We'll take it. Let's go. So go ahead. What was that moment, sir?
I would have to say that defining moment was when Ezekiel was a sophomore at The Ohio State University, and we played Alabama.
Ooh.
When we played Alabama, and he ran that ball, and ironically, he fumbled. Mm. And then the next series, he came out and ran that ball dominant and took it up the field. I said, wow, Ezekiel Elliott has arrived.
See, that's, what's crazy, sir? You're so modest, man, because I thought you was going to go way back in the jungle deep. Listen, man, when Zeke was 2 years old, he was walking down and he almost stepped on something and fell, but I like how you said that, because, even when Zeke was a senior in high school, he was looked at then as one of the best high school players in the nation. And even then, you say it was 2 years into college, man. I like that. I absolutely like that. Now, going into the NFL, making that transition from college to the NFL, I would like to know, like, what was that year like, his going from the Ohio State to the Dallas Cowboys? What were those conversations like, preparing your son for the NFL? Because, a lot of people don't know you played ball at a very high level yourself. So you were speaking from some experience. So what were those conversations like, preparing him, getting his mental ready and prepared for the NFL? What were those conversations like?
I'll be really honest with you, West Coast. I never really spent a lot of time talking to Ezekiel about football or sports in particular.
Wow.
As a father, from the moment he came out the womb, we demanded excellence from Ezekiel. And Ezekiel, as he evolved from a boy to a young man to a grown man, he has demanded excellence on himself. When he went to The Ohio State University and met Coach Urban Meyer's philosophy and the way Ezekiel was raised and how he thought of himself was a perfect marriage.
Wow, I love that. Now, with adversity, with excellence comes adversity. And, I'm curious because, like, Ezekiel Elliott, had some of the first adversity you've ever seen in his career last year. You had Dak Prescott go down. You had other situations go down, and then all of a sudden, man, just like, Spider-Man got bit by a radioactive spider and became Spider-Man, out of nowhere. Ezekiel Elliott got bit by this fumble bug and just became out of nowhere. In 9 games, you had 6 fumbles, man. What was that time going like, and what were the words that were said to kind of get him through that? Because Zeke did bounce back from that very well.
Well, it's interesting because, as I said earlier, I never really discussed football with Ezekiel. But last year, I believe it was after the Thanksgiving game, Ezekiel came home. We were at his house. We didn't attend any games due to COVID. And he had a certain spirit about him. He had his iPad and he wanted to talk football. So whenever my son wants to talk, I listen because he's not a man of many words, at least with his father. And so I won't go into everything that he shared with me, but one of the things that people don't know about Ezekiel, he is very smart. He has one of the highest football IQs to ever come out of college into the NFL draft. I believe to this very day, he has the highest Waterlick score of any pre-draft athlete in the combine. And so Ezekiel is like a quarterback on the field. When he looks at defensive schemes, he knows where everyone is lined up, and he's just that kind of guy. So he showed me different things, not only with offense, but with defense. And so, but one of the things that was in the back of my mind that I learned since he's been in the NFL is that sometimes coaches are not as detailed in their coaching as the coaches are in college.
And you know what? It kind of makes sense. You want to know why? Because in college, you're really in that educational environment, and it's like, it was like a statement. I was listening to Micah Parsons talk yesterday, and they asked him about like focusing on football. And one thing I took out of that whole conversation is he was happy to be out of school so he didn't have to study no more. I mean, and that's basically what he said. He was like, yeah, man, I'm happy to just be in the NFL because you ain't got to go to school. Woo! And it's like, they in college, you're still in that environment, whereas in the NFL, I think there's not even that there's an expectation, but I just see it, man. I see a lot of coaches in the NFL, they're not really trying to teach, like in the NFL, in the college level, you have a guy that'll go out in a game and he'll make a mistake. Well, that coach will then come out, he'll point out that mistake, but then he'll also show you how to fix that mistake. And I see in the NFL, you have a lot of specialist coaches and just coaches in time now. To give coaches give them a little pushback, because I know coaches are like, yeah, but West Coast, we don't have time like that, like they got in college too. I get it. I get it. The times are different too. You have less time in the NFL. But I feel in the NFL and nowadays, it's more or less just about pointing out your faults and then hoping you can fix them. You know what I'm saying? Because, if you don't have a good game Sunday, you're off on Monday, you're going to break down film for one day, but then you got to get ready for the next week, So it's like, when do coaches really have that time to do that? Like I heard this, my boy Roy Williams, former Dallas Cowboys, he used to always say, man, getting better is for the offseason. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you are coming into the regular season is probably what you're going to be. It's probably what you're going to be. And something that I love that I saw about Ezekiel Elliott this year is like there was a purpose to kind of like put content out there showing him in the locker rooms, and I'm working out and doing those extra things, because last year, man, and this is just Cowboy, this is just how we do our players, man. We uplift you. And then we lift you up to God status. And then when you show us that you have some type of human ability, you just a human at times, we start trying to heap coals on you just a little bit. And I want to know, man, like there was a time where Ezekiel Elliott's, his appeal was at an all-time high. Now due to all types of factors, I think the fans' appeal, the fans' impression of Zeke has changed a little bit, I think. I want to know, like, what are those conversations that you have with Zeke that are not necessarily about football, but just how to handle, like, man, you fumble one time and that whole world hates you, and I always tell people this. When I fail, it's in front of my family. It's only 5 of us that live here. When somebody else, when Zeke fails, when he makes some mistakes, it's in front of 3-4 million people and at least 77,000 in the stands. So I want to know, like, what have those conversations just been about motivating your son, getting him ready for this 2021 season?
Let me tell you something, West Coast. What a lot of people don't understand, those conversations start many years before you get to this level. These conversations is part of parenting. And it goes back to, Ezekiel started playing football when he was 7 years old. And he, by nature, has always been a driven young man. We used to call him one speed. He didn't have a half speed. He always went hard. So I think that what people don't know about Ezekiel, he's his greatest critic, but he's also somebody that prepares. He's also someone that studies. Now, he does have great ability, but Urban Meyer said this, and Coach Tom Herman, who was the offensive coordinator at The Ohio State, said this about Ezekiel. He said that Ezekiel was raised different. He's a different type of guy. Urban Meyer said that he is the hardest working athlete he ever coached. Now that's saying a lot.
Yeah, that is.
Urban Meyer.
That is.
So people may have gotten some insight this year on Ezekiel working out through video, but anyone who has coached him from 7 years old to 26 years old that he is now, know that this young man goes hard.
I love that. And football is the ultimate team sport. I love it. That's why I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I love football so much that I almost can't watch the NBA at times because football, it's just so competitive. And the NBA is just so not, but it's like, even though it is the most ultimate sport, with everything, who knows if Dak is 100%? Who knows? I don't know. I'm not going to say I don't know, but I do know something. I know Ezekiel Elliott is 100%. I know he's in the best shape of his life. Not saying that he wasn't no other years, but I know he is today. So my question is, like, there is going to be a time in 2021 just because of the lack of the offensive line and then the probability of your quarterback. There's going to be a time where Ezekiel Elliott is probably going to have to put this team on his back. And I want to know, like you say, it start off early in his life. How do you build a person to be ready for a moment like this? Because this is a moment where I'm gonna need Zeke. Talk to me, sir.
Let me tell you something, man. You're giving me goosebumps, West Coast. And I say this with all due respect, not that I'm his father, but I have witnessed this young man grow up. And he does his best. He has his greatest moments when he has the greatest adversity.
Woo, explain that.
Okay, well, I'll explain that to you. I'm going to go back to in college, and then we're going to bring it up to the NFL. What people don't know is that Ezekiel's sophomore year, where some who are deemed as wise say, those writers, sports writers, was the greatest run of any running back in the history of college football. Ezekiel played with one arm. He shattered his wrist in the summer camp.
Wow. And
it never healed. He had an operation. They put screws in his wrist, and it never healed. And sometimes Ezekiel would hit the ground, as he told me, and barely could get up because of the pain from his wrist.
Wow.
But under that adversity, with a third string quarterback, no offense to Cardell Jones, Ezekiel Elliott put the team on his back, dominated that game, and won it. The national championship,
yeah,
MVP,
yeah,
of that game with one arm.
Yeah. I mean, this is probably a private moment, but when your son achieves so, like, and you look at it, what is like the first thing you say to your son? I mean, what was the first thing you said after that game? Like, that had to just been just amazing.
Well, this is the thing, and I'm gonna go back to I'm gonna take it to the NFL. But what people have to understand, unfortunately, coaches in the NFL, they may not have the time with the athletes that a college coach has. Now, in Ezekiel's situation, we thank Mr. Jerry Jones for going outside of a norm in this modern era and taking a running back as high as he did with Ezekiel. And Coach Brown, who was the running back coach at that time with Coach Garrett, they had an opportunity along with personnel and Mr. Jones to evaluate this talent. So when Ezekiel came to the Ohio State, came to the Dallas Cowboys, it was similar going to college. But Ezekiel, that sophomore year, shattering his wrist back at the Ohio State, where I want to go back to, he was on track to get in the Fisher School of Business at the Ohio State University. If anyone knows about this business school, it's one of the best business schools in America.
Wow.
And it's one of the hardest schools to get in. And you have to maintain a 3.0 to get in the school. And so Ezekiel's grades were good, but he was in study hall because of him just being a sophomore coming off his freshman year. And he wasn't attending his study hall because he felt like, man, my GPA is good enough. Why I got to go here?
Yeah.
I get a phone call on a Tuesday with Coach Urban Meyer and Coach Stan Drayton, his running back coach. And they say, hey, look, Ezekiel, or Coach Meyer said, hey, man, our boy ain't going to study hall. We got to do something about it. I think we should bench him. I said, you know what? Let's bench him. Before the words could get out my mouth, I felt horrible that I was agreeing with them to bench my son, whose grades were great.
Wow. Yes.
But I could not go against how we raised him, demanding excellence and not taking shortcuts.
Yeah.
And so that game, that Saturday was against the University of Illinois, and he did not start. Curtis Samuel, who's in the NFL right now, started. Reporters was hitting me up before the kickoff when they realized he wasn't going to start. I even had a friend who was visiting with us when he found out that Ezekiel wasn't going to start, and I had went along with it. He got up and left the game.
Wow.
But let me tell you what happened for Ezekiel. Character was developed. Curtis Samuel, he blew up in that game. And Coach Stan Drayton came to me at the end of that game and he said, he's like, oh boy, he has arrived. I said, what do you mean? He said, to see Ezekiel applaud his teammate.
Wow.
Who's out there doing great. Just like he does his teammate now, Tony
Pollard. Yeah.
Doing great because Ezekiel is a selfless individual. So when Coach Drayton said that Sunday, Ezekiel came to my house and he had this look on him and I knew he was disappointed. And before he could say something, I said, son, your lot in life is not going to be easy. We demand excellence from you. You demand excellence from yourself. So it is what it is, son. I hugged him and we went on. My point is this, West Coast, is that this year, I believe, all the stars have lined up.
Talk to me.
For a young man who has not only matured in age physically, mentally, but I believe we're going to see a mature football player.
Yeah.
On the level of the NFL.
Yeah. Hey, you know, there's this little inside joke I always say, man. All my favorite players, I hope they all get married and have babies. Because I'm just telling you, man, like there's just something about an NFL player when they get married and have babies and they start going into that next, like they're less with the kicking it with the team, they more with the family. It's just like a whole different level of maturity. And it's like when you come in. And you know what? Something I've also, Shaq said this too. You know, as you come in the league, you don't really appreciate how good you are. But as you get older, you appreciate how good you were. You know what I'm saying? Because as you getting older, it's fleeting. You know what I'm saying? So you understand you got to use that right now. You know, when you're a young man, you think you're going to be fast and Zeke all your days. You know, but Zeke right now is in the prime of his career. You know what I'm saying? I feel this year, this is a situation, just to double back on our original thought, this is a situation I believe that Ezekiel Elliott, you drafted him for this moment. Like, there is no reason to draft a running back 4th overall if you can't look at him and say, hey, for this extended amount of time, I need you to be the dude. You know, and the one thing I love about Ezekiel Elliott is he wants those moments. Like, he wants those moments. I always tell people this, and not to keep touching on the fumbles, but just to be realistic, he had 6 fumbles. Well, 5 of those fumbles were getting positive yards, and the Dallas Cowboys only gave up 12 points off those fumbles. So there's not I ain't never going to say it's a good time to fumble, but what I'm saying is, bro, 12 points in a scan of 9, I don't know if that really was the win or loss of a game, but I'm going to tell you what it does do. And this is why it's so important this year and why I understand Zeke understands this is because when you have people be saying, oh, we need a veteran. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? Zeke been in the league 5 years. He is the veteran. He is the big brother.
That's right.
Like, he's the big brother. He's the guy that looks on the sidelines and everybody stops talking. You know what I'm saying? He is the alpha dog of his room. And I like that because when Rico, and that was a great point, when Rico Dow was busting in that preseason game, man, Ezekiel Elliott with them sunflower seeds and that crazy beard running up and down the sidelines, man. That's what I remember in them limited edition Jordans. You feel me? I watched too much film. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I remember, and that's what I love about Zeke. And to be honest with you, coming from the Ohio State, you kind of got to be like that because, bro, everybody's good, man. Like, you better learn to respect, you know what I'm saying, to understand how, because everybody's good up in there, man. Real quick, though, I had a question from my guy over at my boy Justin Tuck over there at the CFO. He's another Cowboy content creator, puts out some good content. And he just wanted to ask a question like, what's the biggest difference in the mentality that you've seen as far as Ezekiel Elliott? We've kind of talked about it, I think, a little bit tonight. But what's the biggest change in the mentality going into this season that you've seen in Zeke versus other seasons?
I think that, my humble opinion, last season was a season that my son has never experienced. I'll go back to Ohio State in that Alabama game when he fumbled. And let me tell you something, and all of those who are listening, fumbling is not something Ezekiel Elliott takes lightly. In the running back room at The Ohio State University, when you walk up in there, you see a quote from Mr. John Heisman. And the quote says, "It is better not to have been born than to fumble."
I love that. I love it.
They don't care how great you are as a football player. But if they can't trust you with the ball, you will not play.
Period.
So the stars, I believe, lined up for Ezekiel last year. Now, someone might say, what do you mean by that? He's never been on a losing team in his life.
Wow.
He's never been able to not come back from adversity in a game and carry the team on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Think Ain't that over now?
Yeah.
The more he tried, the less he could achieve.
And then he
So
started.
what he did, having a great agent and a great support, is went in the lab and reevaluated Ezekiel Elliott. He don't need the fans to do that. Half of us don't even know what we're looking at. And so the reevaluated Ezekiel Elliott is the guy we about to see this Thursday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I absolutely love that because, you know, it's a crazy, it's not even crazy, but it's like, you know, when you've always been in that, always experienced success, people think that 2020 was just a turning point, you know, because of everything that was a turning point in his career, man, because it's like you deal with something that you've never dealt with. So guess what? It's like you're now dealing with something you've never dealt with. Like, it's easy to deal with success when you've always had success. You know, but last year he was able to deal with something that he was, and you could see it too, because, you know, as Zeke started trying to press, that's when the little ding-ups start happening. You know what I'm saying? You start
pressing.
pressing.
Hurt last year.
Yeah, I know.
But that ain't no excuse. We in an Elliott household, that before Ezekiel Elliott, that ain't no excuse. We Ezekiel is what we call an elite warrior.
Mm.
He gonna play. He gonna fight till he die.
Yeah. And I mean, and you can see it. And then the cool thing about it is, and this is a statement that I always say, man. I tell people this. I say, man, let Ezekiel be the best person on our team. Allow him to be the best person on our team. And because of the way the NFL set up, Dak Prescott gonna win all the awards.
Hey, you know what? And Ezekiel don't have a problem with that. But can I let me say this?
Go ahead.
West Coast. It's on my mind. To our beautiful fans in Cowboy Nation, those who want to say that Ezekiel Elliott stopped performing because he got paid. Listen, Ezekiel Elliott been playing football since he was 7 years old. When he went to The Ohio State University, this is an actual fact, he sold more college jerseys than any college athlete in the history of college football and didn't get a dime. Ezekiel goes to the NFL, and everything Mr. Jones has paid him, Ezekiel deserves it.
Yeah, he does.
But Ezekiel would damn near play for free. If it would have been up to Ezekiel, Ezekiel wouldn't have held out because he wanted to be with his boys and win and compete for a Super Bowl. It's a business side of this. But Ezekiel Elliott, look, you can tell a person something about them if you go to their social media.
Yeah.
You go to Ezekiel's Instagram right now, you don't see diamond rings. You don't see diamond chains. You don't see Bentleys. You don't see none of that because my son ain't about all of that. Now, does a man want to get paid? Well, a man is worthy of his hire.
Exactly.
And when everybody else getting paid off of you all your life, it's time to get paid.
Yeah.
But to say he laid down because of a check, nah, that's further from the truth.
And, you know, some of these fans, man, think that, you know, these contract negotiations are just as simple as, you know, you going into your quarterly review and then pulling up a spreadsheet and telling you, oh, you're going to get your 50 cents. You know, I feel like, and I don't want to rehash too much, but I feel like there was times in that negotiation where it kind of was more than just business, you know. And unfortunately, it's like that's like a pattern with the Dallas Cowboys. You know what I'm saying? Each player that they go into negotiations, they always make it, you know, because if it was just strictly about football, it wouldn't have been a conversation about paying Ezekiel Elliott. You know what I'm saying? There would have been no conversation. So go ahead.
I think I have a different perspective as his father. I think that, you know, being a father of Ezekiel and talking to Mr. Jones and knowing him through the years, I I truly believe in my heart, Mr. Jerry Jones, he likes Ezekiel. He cares about Ezekiel. Their relationship, yeah, he's the owner, he's the GM, but from the beginning, Ezekiel went to that franchise. Mr. Jones talked to him about business, about life. He lectured me and Ezekiel for almost an hour about father and son relationship, brought his son and daughter in the room, and he spent time on that. Mr. Jones spends a lot of time on life things. And a man of his success, and as a father, turning my son over to a man like him, that made me feel good. And whenever I see Mr. Jones, he goes out of his way to talk to me, I mean, it's almost to the point how he loves me and my family that I felt embarrassed one time in public. Now, that's my perspective.
Wow.
Now, there is a business side, and I would expect Mr. Jones to handle the business side because it's not personal, it's business. But guess what? Ezekiel Elliott and his camp going to be business too. And Ezekiel and Mr. Jerry Jones has a personal relationship, and they have a business relationship. The beautiful thing is Ezekiel can benefit from Mr. Jones personally and business-wise, and Mr. Jones definitely has benefited from Ezekiel business-wise.
Absolutely. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott's jersey's never been outside the top 5 in jersey sales in the NFL. Like, even last year, you know what I'm saying? Even last year, like, that's always been there. And, you know, folks don't understand where the money really flows at. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to understand how the money flow into Dallas, you know? And them jersey sales are very uber important. It's kind of why Jerry was so impressed to get that 88 back on the field. Why? Because that 88 is a very high selling jersey too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there is, and that's what fans don't understand, or they just refuse to understand. It's like, Jerry, what a person pays you is typically only a tenth of what they're actually going to make off of you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if someone is saying that I'm willing to invest $90 million into you over the next 6 years, that, in my opinion, because I'm a business owner, right? If I buy a pallet for $600, right? Because I own a pallet warehouse. If I can't see myself making $1,200, at least doubling my money, I'm not interested. Like, I'm just not interested. I'm not interested in getting a 20% more. I'm not interested. That's not enough money. So if the Cowboys, and you got to think about it like this, it's not even about just like your performance on the field. It's about getting a return on your investment. When I pay this $90 million, do I feel that I'm going to get a return on my investment over the next such and such years? To be honest with you, you probably already got it, because Zeke's rookie contract, I promise you, was not more than what Jerry Jones made on them jerseys the first 4 years. And that's just jerseys alone. And think about this concept. The better players you can have, guess what? The higher your ticket sales can be. You know what I'm saying? You can get into a Cardinals game for $1 and some chips. You know what I'm saying? Cowboys game, bro, if you ain't got 300, like, I hate, like, side note, stop inboxing me asking me for cheap Dallas Cowboy tickets, because they don't exist. Okay? They don't exist. Go look for an alien. You will find one faster. They don't exist. But like I said, when you are on the cover of the season ticket holder, like these are people who are buying tickets before the season even starts. They're buying tickets in April. And guess what they're doing? They're using your image. So I knew the Cowboys was all in on Zeke, and they go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, listen, I appreciate Mr. Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys and what they've done for Ezekiel and what Ezekiel's going to continue to do for them in that organization. And I would never get in the middle of their business. But I just want people to look at it from this perspective. The NFL, not the Dallas Cowboys, the NFL, not only has Ezekiel, since he's been in the league, battled for the top 3-5 spots in jersey sales that all the players get paid off of.
Yep.
His jersey sale.
Yep.
Under the collective bargain, the old agreement. I don't know about the new one. They split that. But also Ezekiel has been, since he's been in the NFL, top 3, top 5 NFL licensed merchandise sales.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the whole entire. So you know what that means? That means players who don't wear number 21 and who don't even know who Stacy Elliott, never met you before in their life, or are getting a portion of his success. That's what I'm
right.
gonna. We're not gonna call it money. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna call it they're getting a portion of his success. You know what I'm saying? They're sharing in his success because it benefits the entire NFL. Great players benefit the entire NFL. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Man, I got a couple more questions, sir, and then I'm gonna let you up out of here, man. I think in 2021, you know, the Dallas Cowboys, you going in here, you got Tampa Bay. You know, Tampa Bay number 3 against the run. You know, I just want to know I mean, Zeke gonna be running against a 9-man box, man. Probably 70% of the time, good 70% of the time. I want to know, man, like how do you get your son to be prepared to have a target on his back, like, bruh, like, unfortunately, if I'm a defensive coordinator, you can say whatever you want about Zeke. I'm still circling him. Like, I'm still circling him in big red. How do you prepare him for that?
You prepare him, you know, how if I say help prepare him.
There you go. Help prepare.
It's just support him. You got to believe in the process. Not only do you have to believe in your son, you got to believe in the coaching staff. You got to believe in the organization. That's how you support them. That's how we've always, me and Ezekiel's mom, since he was coming up, that's how we support Ezekiel. I can't speak for no one else. I'm not trying to be his coach. I'm going to support his coach. I'm not trying to get in the middle of decisions that's being made as it relates to Ezekiel Elliott on the field. Even though I'm human and through his career, I have been affected, but our policy is to not bother him with that.
So how did you train yourself to do that? Because, like, I'm going to tell you, my son, he has a coach he goes to 3 days a week, right? Football. There's moments where I just leave. I just go in the other room. You know what I'm saying? I just go in the other room. So how do you train yourself to do? How did you train yourself to do that?
You know, what it was is, you know, Ezekiel's mom, a very accomplished athlete. Very accomplished. You know, we went to Mizzou, and we saw a lot of our friends, my teammates, put their whole life into sports, and when the sport was over, because their self-esteem was wrapped around the sports, it was devastating to them. And many of them went to the streets, became alcoholics, some got incarcerated, some even died. So we never wanted our son to be, as what I would call, a dumb jock whose whole self-esteem was wrapped around the sport.
Yes.
So what we did was, I would say, use psychology. When everybody praised him for football, we just supported him.
Wow.
What we did is demand excellence from him in school, on and off the field. Listen, he ran track. He didn't want to run track. I made him run track because he had stopped playing Little League baseball. I took him off the team, actually, for certain reasons. And he thought he was going to just chill. I said, nah, your little sister Layla is running track, AAU. You're going to do something around here. He started running track and became one of the best hurdlers in the country. And so we supported him just as much in that because it's something he wanted to do. And so this is how, through the years, we have disciplined ourselves. Now, like I said, I am human. And, you know, I have to catch myself, not only as it relates to his coaches in the past, but even with fans. Trust the process and support your son.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm going, I'm in that process right now, and I see my, I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I have that internal battle too. Like, my dad always told me, like, make sure you teach make sure your sons understand and how to listen to other men. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And like that's what I try to like really really like focus on is like I try to correct when they're at practice. They're at practice. I'll correct them, at home. It's not for me to to do that. It's for their coaches to do that. But I feel like when parents overstep that boundary, you literally take the fun out of football. And it's like one thing I always tell my sons, man, is like at this level, if you ain't having fun, we ain't doing it right. You know what I'm saying? Because everything about football should be fun. Like
That's
everything should be about fun. It should all be
That's
about
right.
fun. So it's like, kind of speak to the dads out there, man, because I know somebody out there watching right now, is looking at their 7-year-old and they're remembering how he shaked and baked on that little girl on the flag football, and he's looking at him and saying, "Oh yeah, my son's the next Zeke. I'm about to go hard on him." I want to know, man, what is your advice, because I know you have, being the ambassador, I see you on your IG. I see that you link up with a lot of fathers. I mean, it was one time it was literally like literally like 4 all-pro fathers in the same picture. It was you, Beckham, I think it was Landry. It was somebody and 2 other guys. I forget the other guy's name, but it was literally, I'm like, dang, there's literally 4 all-pros in this picture right here. So I'm wanting to know, like, as a father who is, I'm not, obviously you're not done with them, but you've gotten past the stage that we're at. Kind of give us some game on, how, putting our kids on that path or making sure that we don't go into that gray area of almost wanting it more than our kids. Because I think right now with the ranking of the 6-year-olds, like 6-year-olds being ranked in tackle football, man, like, I just feel like some of this stuff does not translate to getting to the NFL. Being ranked in 6th grade does not translate to making it to the NFL. So I want to know. I want to talk to those. Not even talk to me, but talk to these fathers out here that are raising their children, putting them in football, and some of your thoughts on it, man.
Well, first and foremost, thank you. That's a very good question, and thank you for having me on your show. West Coast, first thing that comes to mind is demand excellence from your son. Demand excellence. In school, demand excellence. Demand excellence in everything that he is doing. Everything. If it happens to be football, demand excellence. Support him. Never talk against the coach to your son.
Wow.
Never talk against the coach to your son.
Even if you don't like the coach? What if you don't like him, though? What if you don't like the coach?
Then you go to that coach. You go to that coach. Ezekiel was blessed. Coach Ray Merriweather, one of the man, I can't words can't even describe how much I love him. I didn't love him in the beginning like I love him now because the process is complete for Little League. And what we as fathers don't want to be a part of is raising a son that is uncoachable.
Wow. I get excited.
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I do. I get it. It's like church, man. I get excited, man. My church, they encourage hooping and hollering, and so I let it go sometimes.
You don't want to be a part of that process. Coach Ray, no matter how great Ezekiel showed at 7 and through the years he was with Ezekiel till he was 13, he never treated him different. But what Coach Ray did do with Ezekiel and all those who played for him is demand excellence from him. So if you could go back in time and see Ezekiel when he first went out on that Little League field in St. Louis, and before practice, Coach Ray would have the athletes run a lap, Ezekiel would always be the first one finished.
Yeah, that's translation.
You build on your son's strengths. Don't tear them down. Build on your son's strengths. Now, I didn't get into a lot of conversations with Ezekiel about X's and O's, but through the years, we would have conversations. And I tell you, West Coast, the guy you see on Sunday, not as much now, but on Saturday, and when he was in high school, wouldn't be the guy that riding in the car or at home. He would sound so like almost borderline not confident in himself.
Wow.
But when he put on that uniform, Clark Kent becomes Superman.
Wow.
I recognize that.
Wow.
So I stopped bothering him about conversations that we would have. I'd be like, man, you competing against these athletes on your team, but I need you to compete against all of them around America. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
That wasn't really the best thing I should have said to him, but he showed me by observation, you know what? I am competing against everyone.
I love that.
So another thing as a father, be very careful who you put around your children. Listen, I personally feel like they're going too far with the sports, football in particular with children.
Wow.
If your child grows up and their self-esteem is based on playing football, the career of football is like life itself. It's gonna end one day, and no one knows the day, the time, the state, the land. It's gonna end.
Yeah.
And when it ends, what are you gonna replace it with?
Yeah.
If your whole life is based on being a football player or a soccer player or a baseball player, and you no longer play anymore, then how you gonna handle life?
Which is gonna
So
throw you
one thing
way
about
crazier.
Ezekiel's a pretty good businessman right now. I'm proud of him.
Yeah. I mean, and I love that, man, because something that I keep hearing you say, and it shows the value of you, is you give a lot of credit to the other men who have also helped Ezekiel Elliott get to this moment, like the coaches, and you know them by names, and you know them, you give them their roses, their accolades for the things that, like, it is gonna take. And I think as fathers, we got to understand that it's like we're not James Bonds. Like, we don't know everything, and everything that we do is not necessarily you know what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to that, and then the cool thing about it is you're a guy who played at a high level. You know what I'm saying? I would think playing the defensive position you played, you would be able to show him, hey, this is what this, but I like the fact that you never wanted to compromise that relationship with football. And I'm going to tell you, man, a very close to home conversation, was my little brother. My little brother, for sure, and praise God, he's bounced back from it. But we kind of, I ain't gonna say we did it the wrong way. We did it the way that any young African American family in the hood with a 6'5" dude weighing 305 pounds in 9th grade do it. We thought we was on. You know what I'm saying? And we did everything to kind of make him feel like this was his only avenue. And I'm gonna tell you, man, my little brother played some big level football, he was Randy Gregory's roommate in Arizona. So he played with some big level guys, but it's like when the pro days happened and it didn't happen the way it was, like my little brother, I'm gonna keep it real with you, man. Like, he went through almost like a midlife crisis at the age of 23 years old. And it's because, and I get it, and I understand now as an older man. Back then, I really didn't understand it, but, to him, it was almost as equivalent to a divorce, man. And it's like, and that's a crazy word to say, but,
No, West Coast, listen, everybody's going to go through it. But what is your coping mechanism in that transition? A transition is the most deadliest time for a human being because a lot can happen.
Yeah.
So how do you cope with that transition? Listen, to the fathers that's listening, all the mothers, because some of the mothers do the same thing. Listen, I'm pleading to you.
Yeah.
Children, your sons, they watch and they hear you more than what you tell them. When Ezekiel you know, and I have to hold back the tears, bro, when I think about this. When Ezekiel started dealing with reporters in high school during his recruiting process, he's always been a young man, my son, where he don't talk a lot around me for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And so I started learning of Ezekiel Elliott, the teenager, through interviews on TV or through electronic media or newspapers.
Mm.
He was asked this question by an Ohio State journalist. When did you know you wanted to be a Division I football player? And his answer was, West Coast, I always wanted to be like my father.
Wow.
Now, wait a minute, son. I ain't never talked to you about no football.
Yeah.
But when we would go to the football reunions at Mizzou, he was a little boy growing up. When Coach Ray Merriweather would take the team to Mizzou in Columbia, Missouri, and walk them through the athletic building, he would see pictures of his father on the wall. See, this was being burned into his mind.
That's excellent.
Every son want to be like his father, man.
Yeah.
Every son wants to imitate their father. So we got to constantly be the best example, and we got to uplift them. And we can't use our sons to relive ourselves in a sport again.
Oh, my God. Say that again. Please say that again.
We just can't do it, because what we're doing is we're setting our children up to, when they hit that period in their career, it could be high school going to college, it could be college going to the pros, it could be the pros going to the Hall of Fame. That's where I'm at now as a father in the journey. My son, the sun is still rising, but it's going to set on his career one day.
Yeah.
And as it starts to set on his career, God willing, it'll start rising towards a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah.
God willing. But if it don't, I don't care. Because at the end of the day, the man he is becoming, the young man he is right now, I could die and be happy, because I see the growth and maturity. So as fathers, we just got to support them. Support them when they're high, support them when they're low. You don't have to be their judge or their critic, because they got enough of that going on.
Fact.
Just love them.
Yeah, that's one of my things I always say in my house. Like, you know, hey, when we're in this house, we always gonna lift each other up, because the whole world out there is gonna tear you down. So we not gonna be a part of it. You know, when this is your safe haven. You know what I'm saying? This is supposed to be your area where you feel safe and you can be your truly best person. Because when we walk outside that house, we all put a mask on, and I ain't talking about the COVID. I'm talking, we put a mask on to shield what's going on, or the goods or the positive in our life. Why? Because that's just what you have to do in society. But when you come home, you have to be able to have that release. And, you know, one thing I know about children, man, is like, you know, I don't ever want to put myself in that position where, like, because of how hard I was on my son in football, it prevents him from coming to me about something in life. Because if that's not if that happens, I've failed. You know, because exactly what you said, man. It's like, you know, when you're young, you're like, man, you know, 30 is so far from here, you know. But it's like, man, 30 only a couple years from, like, literally, it's a couple, you know what I mean? It's a little bit long. It's about to come down the street from here. So it's like, those are really like the conversations. And the crazy thing about it is, Zeke is actually, after he retires, will literally live a life more without football than he will with football.
That's
like
right.
Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith has been without football longer than he was with football, but you know him for football. You know, so it's like, you're going to have, like, no matter what you do in football, just save your money, because you got a whole lot of living. You got a whole lot of living after football. And to be honest with you, that's what you're going to be remembered for, is that living after football.
And one other thing too, West Coast, I want to say to fathers listening, is that you support your son. You could talk about football if that's what your relationship is, but I promise you, as your son get older, like with Ezekiel, we don't talk about football for real now. Because, listen, I had to get bodyguards for Ezekiel in college. That ain't normal.
Wow.
When we have family outings, I have to tell my family, keep your cameras, turn them off. Just be normal.
Yeah.
Because it makes my son feel uncomfortable. Because he just wants to be normal. So as a father, have a normal relationship with your son.
Yeah.
Don't make your son feel like he got to hear football from everybody and his daddy all the time. And or his mama, or his siblings. When we're together, matter of fact, and everyone won't maybe be in the same situation as us, but just recently, this year, was the first time since Ezekiel was drafted that we could all be together as a family without a friend, without a bodyguard, without anybody outside of the last name Elliott.
Wow. See, that stuff I take for
Think that
granted,
over.
man. Wow.
So fathers, just support your son. Yeah, you can coach him up. That's your relationship and everything. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But don't ever make your son or child feel like their life is based on football. One other thing, one last thing. Fathers, parents, stay away from this foolishness that your son is going to take care of you.
Ooh.
You're going to crush them when they're 6 and 7 years old, high school, college. By nature, your son wants to look out for you if he's successful.
Yeah.
Not just successful in football, but whatever success that they achieve in life, they want to look out for their loved ones. They want to look out for their father. But no child should inordinately feel, especially in college, they got to make it in the NFL so they can buy their mama a house.
Wow.
You kill the creative spirit and desire for your son to be successful.
Wow. Hey, man, these are jewels, man. These are
That's
jewels.
real talk.
These are jewels, man. These are jewels. I mean, I just sit back, man, and like, you know what I'm doing as you're talking? I'm literally doing a checklist in my head right now. You know what I'm saying? Everything that you're saying, I'm lining it up with the relationships that I have with my children and how my kids respond and react to me. And I remember one time my boy, Boss Cowboy, told me, he said, Boss, he said, West Coast, man, you got a dope relationship with your sons. And I was like, wait, hey, like, how you know that? He's like, because I was like, we just do shows together. Like, we don't really talk. When we were, at this point, we weren't chopping it up like that. And he was like, man, as soon as the show's over, or even before the show's over, your boys, first thing they want to do is come get up in your lap and touch on stuff. He's like,
man,
they feel comfortable around you, right? And like as you were speaking right now, that's what I was thinking about in my head, like, you know, like that keeping it in that normalcy. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what we do in the football, like, can my sons come on and actually still see me as their father first? You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, you're gonna, and you said something else that was just dope, man. As you said, you didn't say when the Cowboys drafted Zeke. You said when I really, basically, like, you know, not like, almost kind of like the example of like when a man, like when a man gives his daughter to a man for marriage. Like, that's almost kind of like the example you gave. Like, you know, when I entrusted Mr. Jones with my son. And I liked that piece. I really liked that piece of, you know, how you emphasize that, man. And I just, you know, that was my last question, man. If there's anything you want to say before you get up out of here, man, I appreciate, before you say your last thing, I just want to let you know, I appreciate you so much. And, you know, a lot of people don't know I've had a pretty good relationship with you about 2 years now. And, you know, the one thing I love about Mr. Elliott is, like, I know there are things about the organization or just about football that you know just better, more and in depth. And I love the fact that you always gave me an opportunity to say my piece. You know what I'm saying? Like, you valued my information, even though you're sitting next door to Jerry Jones. like you could just call Jerry, like, hey man, is West Coast telling the truth? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I value that, man, because I'm like, bro, he could just call Jerry if he wants. Like, he didn't got to watch my show. He could just hit up Jerry if he wants to. And I appreciate, my dad always says, value, you can always tell the measurement of a man on how they treat people who really don't have to offer as much as they have to offer you. And I just appreciate you, sir, for always, valuing my thoughts and my opinion. And I appreciate you for giving me this opportunity today, man. Before I get out of here, man, I know you have your IG is cracking. You know what I'm saying? You got one of them IGs that's like low-key popping. You know what I'm saying? Let them know where they can find you on IG and anything that you are working on this season, sir.
Yes. You can find me Ambassador_Elliott, Stacy Elliott on Instagram. Please follow me. We got some exciting things going on. Too much is given, much is required. They call me the ambassador. That name was coined to me when I was at The Ohio State University. In my relationship with Urban Meyer and the football program, I got that title, the ambassador. And so what my journey with my son, Ezekiel, has created for me is giving me a platform that there are other families, parents, fathers in particular, who don't necessarily know they have the platform that I have. Mm-hmm. And so this year, you're going to see a lot of content around what I call exploring the world with the ambassador. And it's just going to be content of me and my family and my relationships. Like you said, West Coast, I'm often seen with other NFL fathers of celebrities. God has put me in that realm. And I want to just start allowing families, parents, fathers in particular. Like this week, I'm going to be hanging out with the Gronkowskis down in Tampa. And that's a great family, a great football family. Yeah. And they have a powerful man behind that family. I'm going to be hanging out with the Godwins, Chris Godwin, star wide receiver, parents. This Thursday, we're going to sit down and have a conversation with the ambassador. And it's going to be ongoing content like that. And God willing, someone might want to pick it up and turn it into a show. But I just want to give people hope, motivation, inspiration, and a platform to tell their story. So I thank you, West Coast, for allowing me to be a part of this wonderful program. I thank you, Cowboy Nation, for your support of Ezekiel Elliott, his family. Y'all seem to love his mama, and that's a good thing, And so words are just not adequate that I can say thank you. I thank the Cowboy organization, Mr. Jerry Jones, for drafting Ezekiel, believing in him, paying him, not only making him the highest paid running back in the history of America and the NFL at that time, but allowing me to wear the title, the father of the highest paid running back in the history of America and the NFL. Man. That's a great title. So thank you. And as always, go Cowboys.
Absolutely, sir. And before you get out of here, I'm going to tell you this too. Just not, I always like to kind of bring it back to home. Just bringing it back to home, you know what I'm saying? You have, and this may go over some people's head, but I'm going to tell you this right now. It is viewed that the African-American, the black father is not as active in the house mama's there. For sure, mama's there. Mama, yeah! You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know, and this is totally off subject, I didn't know that Kevin Durant's dad is very active and just as active as his mother, but the camera only shows his mom. You know what I'm saying?
That's my friend. And that's my friend, yes,
and
sir.
This is a guy, and his dad is just as involved, but
very. Very active.
But you would have the impression like I said, what, for real? I didn't know that. And so I like that as a I like that. I think that is something, and in 2021, that is definitely something that needs to also be enlightened too. Is that, hey man, it's some fathers up here of color, of any color, that's out here that's holding their responsibilities down and doing it right, man. But, sir, I just want to let you know I appreciate you for coming on here. The reception in the comment box is absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to go in. I'm going to drop your IG in the comment box and make sure everybody tap in. But, sir, man, I want to, by the end of this year, man, I want to do a wrap-up or just something, not even the end of the year for sure, but just throughout, because I know the season is going to be crazy. But, I mean, throughout this year, I want to touch back bases with you, man, and kind of lock in with you. Stay connected, man, and really pump this. And the last thing I'm going to tell you, man, is I got this 21 jersey on, and it got 3 21s on it. This 21 stand for 21. That's Ezekiel Elliott. This 21 stand for 21 touchdowns, you dig me? And this 21 right here stand for in 2021. I'm going to tell the nation right here. I'm going to tell you the nation right here. When this organization is led by the RB position, I don't give a damn what his name is. The RB position. There's only 2 things that happens. You either go into the Super Bowl or you're losing to the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. And that's a fact. And that's all we deal here with. Hey, OG, Unc, I appreciate you for stopping by. Hey, everybody that came in the comments and left some good comments, I appreciate you guys. And you guys already know what it is.